Microsoft recently just made a pretty disappointing announcement, and this was something that I feel like, you know, that they tried to spin it, I think, probably as best as they could, and obviously it didn't end up being as good as what they thought, or whatever the case may be. I feel like this was definitely a pretty bad situation for how they were kind of trying to spin this news or whatever. And as a fan, I think it really kind of disappoints me because at the end of the day, you've got to have some kind of success if you want to be able to, keep the brand going and things like that. And I know people don't really believe that, or they don't think that, oh, well, Microsoft will keep doing this or keep doing that. It's like, for me anyway, I got into Xbox for many different reasons, but I honestly think that the big thing was, Halo originally, and they had stuff like KOTOR, things that really appealed to me as a gamer. And then with the 360, I decided to get a 360 when I saw Gears of War, and so I think that was probably the big difference right there. And they keep kind of pushing certain things or whatever. Those franchises are no longer with the companies that made them, and I think that's kind of hurt the franchises in general as well. Microsoft has also tried to be a little bit more politically correct, which I think has also hurt those franchises. It's hard to kind of come back from this kind of stuff, But I want to get into this because this is disappointing, heartbreaking even. What's up, everybody? I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews with another video. Thank you guys for checking this out. I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel. It means a lot to me personally. I do daily gaming content, so if you guys are looking for someone who does video game content every single day, look no further. That is me. And I try to be as informative and fun as I can possibly be. That's pretty cool. And again, I think it really kind of comes down to the individual. Like, if you're looking for that kind of content, then I do deliver it. So, and I called this, right? I called this. So, Gears of War Reloaded has 1 million players 3 days after launch, right? That's not very good. And I said, it might spark a little bit of interest for a little bit, but the multiplayer is super hardcore. It plays kind of slow and clunky. It was okay, I think, 20 years ago. We hadn't really seen anything like it. But, now I think, it's pretty clear that maybe Gears is kind of a past product. Maybe they can recapture it with E-Day. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, Gears of War Reloaded arrived on all current gen consoles, including PlayStation, a few days ago. And before its first week on store shelves, the Coalition and Microsoft has announced 1 million players. Now, keep in mind, this is players, not game sales. To put that into perspective, there's at least 25 million Game Pass subscribers between Xbox and PC. 25 million, maybe 30 million, right? And they all had access to this game for free. If you had the original remaster from 2014, you got this one for free. It was the first time it's launched on PlayStation. This was the lowest launch on Steam for a Gears of War game ever. Again, when you look at things, right? So Gears of War was a big name back in the day, and look at Helldivers 2. They're saying it sold 600,000 copies in its first, couple days on Xbox. This game, across all platforms, has 1 million players, and 30 million people potentially could have just played this for free. Like, I'm a huge Gears of War fan. I even have a Gears tattoo, and I didn't even bother playing it. So it just kind of goes to show you that maybe it's just the game is long in the tooth. Anyway, it says, ending the console war one grub at a time. According to the Coalition post on X, it says, thank you for 1 million players. It's a milestone for the remaster. Even if 1 million players isn't indicative of sales figures, it's a good chunk of those players likely ones who jumped on through Game Pass. So is it people really playing this on PlayStation? That's the main thing, right? Like, people were all like, oh, look at it on PlayStation. It's got, it's on the pre-order list. And then you just look at this and you can just see that that's not really indicative of anything anymore. That's, I think, the big issue or whatever. But, it makes me sad because I'm a Gears of War fan. Anyway, it was an interesting day because games that were previously console exclusive for The 26th of August will always kind of go down in infamy, I guess, now, because you had games that were console exclusive. You had Gears, you had Helldivers 2, and they switched kind of sides or whatever. Oddly enough, this resulted in making the best console and to play Gears of War on PlayStation, since the PS5 Pro is capable of delivering the best mix of performance and visual fidelity compared to Xbox Series X and the base PS5. Of course, there's more Gears of War coming. It looks like next year. The prequel E-Day, which is in development, is going to be coming out next year. I mean, Microsoft did kind of promise, that it's going to be a Halo, Gears, Forza, and Fable next year. So we'll see how that kind of works out. It's going to be certainly interesting to see if Microsoft can kind of deliver on that. But I look at what's going on here with the announcement of 1 million players as not exactly a great thing, and I'm not trying to be negative on this or whatever, but this is a huge deal, right? Like, this is like, imagine like Sony going, okay, well, we're going to release The Last of Us, remaster on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC all at the same time, and it only did 1 million players at launch. I think that would be disappointing. Or even God of War, whatever the case may be. It's like, kind of disappointing numbers for sure. I'm sure Microsoft was probably hoping for more, especially if the majority of these were Game Pass subscribers. Then you didn't really get many sales from PlayStation to begin with, and it's like there have been a couple of sales successes on PlayStation with Xbox titles, and those games have been obviously Sea of Thieves, which is now completely dead on PlayStation, and then you also have Forza Horizon 5, which again, there's nothing like that on PlayStation though, you know what I mean? That game holds up because it didn't come out 20 years ago. Whereas, and I called this, right? I said, listen, in today's world where you have people playing, Fortnite and Apex Legends and Call of Duty and these games that are super fast and moving and all that kind of stuff, those people are not going to spend a lot of times on Gears of War, which is a very kind of wait, hide, pop and lock kind of gameplay, rush the power weapon, 4v4 type contest, because Gears 1 is only 4v4, and then later it was kind of the other ones were 5v5, but it's just not something that people that enjoy these types of games are going to really be into, you know what I mean? Like, and I've mentioned this numerous times, like it controls clunky, the roadie run, holding down the button to run, all that kind of stuff is just not going to be appealing to like today's audience. It's like there's a group of people that are Gears of War fans, but I think where Microsoft really messed up was trying to appeal to people that weren't fans, and they tried to do that with Gears of War 4 and 5, and it doesn't work because you got to make the multiplayer because you want the actual Gears fans to jump on that. And the problem is the true Gears fans are very good at that, and then they're smacking around these new people, and these new people aren't going to stick around because it's a very complicated kind of game. The wall bouncing and running and all that kind of stuff is a very kind of difficult thing to kind of get down. So yeah, it's certainly a situation where gamers kind of have these different things to kind of look at. But for me anyway, I kind of look at these things, it's kind of a situation where I hated to be right, but at the end of the day I ended up being right about this, and it's kind of unfortunate or whatever. But maybe the new game, maybe it's because this game is almost 20 years old, and people that wanted to play it could have already played it on 360, Xbox One, Series X and S, cloud, PC, whatever the case may be. It's like, I mean, realistically, if you're a gamer that absolutely wanted to play Gears of War, you're telling me you couldn't have gotten a 360 over the years or a Xbox One? I mean, these consoles are under $100 right now, so it's kind of crazy to me to see how this kind of works out or whatever. But that is not a good number. You know what I mean? Because listen, Microsoft is trying to get millions of people invested in this franchise on PlayStation, right? And it doesn't look like it's working. I mean, the same thing could be said, and I called this on Halo. Halo would have a better launch, I think, if you did a CE or whatever. But how long is the people going to last in the multiplayer when there's no sprint and there's no aiming down sights? Like, that game moves extremely slow. You don't believe me? If you have an Xbox loaded up on 360, Xbox One, Series X, whatever the case may be, that game plays extremely slow multiplayer wise, even the single player, because there's no sprint. So yeah, again, like, I think these are products of the time, and they may never be super popular again, but you guys might feel differently. At the end of the day, let me know what you think. I appreciate it. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. I'll catch you guys next time. Crap gamer out.